Hey, it's me, Aridonis, and I just wanted to let you know for about 10 minutes of this recording, I forgot to record any audio on the microphone, so it's just camera audio for the first little bit, so it sounds kind of shitty, and I'm sorry, and I can't promise it won't happen again. I was just really excited to talk to my guests for this week, but yeah, thanks. Stick it out. It's like 9 minutes or so, it'll get better. Thanks. Bye.
So, the cool thing about podcasts is they give really informative, educated people the ability to sort of exchange ideas in a very free thinking format. And that's probably not what's going to happen today because this is just an Aridonis podcast. Now I'm Aridonis. And today, I've got a couple of folks with me, Isobel and Ben. They just put out a song that they collaborated on, and the video just came out. It's called Pause, and it's pretty good. Honestly, pretty good.
Thank you so much.
That's a goal.
So how are y'all? Actually, no. Let's not talk about your music. Let's talk about two things that are slightly more important.
Okay.
So we had some, because I like to talk about like the Vancouver music scene pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And we just had a big loss in the Vancouver music scene. The best band in town, Shui, just broke up. And I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the fucking game that Shui put out. They were amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A moment of silence, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw them 2-3 times, and they were consistently like top 10 each one of those shows for Vancouver, like local music shows. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they
Absolutely.
delivered the grooves, and they will be missed. And I hope that members make more cool stuff in the future, and because I have no idea of the details of what happened or why, but I hope that everybody is happy and healthy and makes cool stuff in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some bands can get quiet for some time, and I know that I think we're still coming out of the COVID. I know some bands were still trying to play as many shows as possible during the pandemic, but a lot of bands have just been kind of stepping away. And everyone has to deal with all sorts of different things, and that's totally valid. But I think out of everyone, I think I was expecting Shui to have I think everyone has their own journeys, and obviously Shui was one of the first bands that I saw when I started going to shows on my own and getting into the Vancouver scene. And yeah, like you said, they were just this explosion of energy.
They delivered the goods.
Yeah, delivered the goods. So as more and more things have been starting to open up, I was like, man, I can't wait for the feeling of a Shui show. Because they were actually the last show.
Yeah,
the last
me
full
too.
show that
The
I
last
saw
local show. That was
at
at
the Biltmore Ballroom.
Biltmore Ballroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Kai Bravewood.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that was the last full show that I saw before COVID hit. And so that was even more poignant for me, where it was like, man, I can't wait for that feeling to come back. So when I heard that they were going to be disbanding, I was like, this is a visceral hit to the chest. But of course, I wish everyone well and everyone's future endeavors. You got to be grateful for the moments that you did have with the music that they did put out and the shows that they did play. So
Yeah. So, Shui, if you're out there, we love you, and we hope that everything's good.
Yes.
And then the other thing is, we promised we would talk about how awesome Stranger Things has been.
Bro, literally, I wasn't even in your house for 2 seconds, and I was like, oh, there's Christmas lights on the walls. Yes.
We really went there already.
Yeah, we just got to get that out the way. It was just I didn't expect this season to pop off the way that it had, because the last couple I've been I'm in one foot out the door since season 1, but My controversial take on Stranger Things has been it should have been like an anthology series, like after, because season 1 was perfect, right? It was flawless, and all the child actors, they weren't like awkward teenagers yet, and they, you know, all the adult actors nailed it. The storylines all buttoned up just perfectly, and it had this nice little conspiracy. And then they should have just been like, next, even if they ever went back to it, I would have loved if they just went to a totally different town with totally different people with a totally different story, maybe following the same government agency, but just like that's what I wanted out of season 2. And then when I found out they were just doing the same cast and like continuing the story, I was like, but it was so good, you're gonna fuck it up.
Well, that's always the fear, right? When something is that good and it affects so many people and it like touches so many different audiences, is like you really just like don't want them to screw it up. Like you love it so much that you're like, if you screw this up, if like. And
for a while, they've I don't know, the last couple of seasons, like they've been pretty good, but like, you know, closer to mid than amazing for me. But it feels like with season 4, they're kind of bringing all of those story portions from seasons 2 and 3 and making it into a one long congruent thing, which would be cool if they successfully pull that off.
Yeah.
But apparently there's going to be a season 5, and so I'm just like, guys,
dude,
quit doing this to me.
No, well, honestly, like Ben and I, because we binge watched Stranger Things, like the first part of season 4. Like I think it was just over a matter of days.
Yeah.
Because we just started. We just like.
We didn't realize it was only 7 episodes.
Yeah, we didn't realize it was 7. And,
I was
like,
surprised.
We got on Netflix party and we just like binge watched, and like half the time, like I'm just like, I'm like this.
Yeah, we were just stressed.
And then literally after the last episode, I'm just like, how far can they go? Like, how far can they go with the story and like, you know, everyone's talking about like what the Upside Down actually is, and like what is all this interesting like crossover between all this stuff going on like in Russia, like this is the 80s, like this is like something that the adults can relate to, but also there's like alternate dimensions and like time travel. It's like and like trying to.
Is the stoner kid in the van gonna hook
up
with the sister?
Argyle?
Argyle. The pass the Dutchie guy.
It's the what is it? The purple dream or whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
Kicking in, man.
Yeah. I really love the way, cause I like my other controversial. Oh fuck! You know what? I forgot to roll audio. I just realized I got too excited.
Wait, so
no, I've been recording just camera audio, so I gotta just roll the good audio, and I'll just run a little disclaimer, and it'll be fine.
We're gonna be super quiet, but you'll still hear Isobel cackle.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
No, I just love Stranger Things so much.
Yeah, no, it'll all still be there.
That's
but
great.
It's just woops. You know? Just
we have RX. We have RX. We can match it.
Good.
Yeah, it'll be yeah.
See, I'm happy to be here, and then Ben's just like, oh yeah, technology. Here we go.
Yeah.
You actually, you and AJ can
I've
talk
got
about gear all
the
day.
tens of thousands of dollars of shit necessary to
Yeah.
make it sound.
We both have
okay.
each.
Yeah. But except, why am I not seeing audio in Ableton now? This is just gonna be a nightmare. I've decided for the next little bit. Hold on.
Let's take a moment to thank today's sponsor.
Yeah.
Like everyone's so hyped about it. I'm just like, oh yeah, Stranger Things, whatever. It's like it's a good show, but like I'm not obsessed with it. Like it's a good show, and then every time a new season comes out, I'm like, and then I'm just like,
they
oh
do
my
a good
gosh.
job.
I always forget how much I love it until I watch a new season. I'm just like, they're my children. I'm back. I'm back. So.
I love the way that they, because I've been like, my complaint with the last couple of seasons has been like, man, they don't really give like Finn Wolfhard anything to do, and then
people have been saying that,
and then they were like almost made that into a joke by like literally putting him like somewhere else for the whole first half of the story. And just like a little island of all the
what's going on with Will?
There's a little island of just all the useless characters just like in California.
Useless characters. There's Argyle and Jonathan just getting stoned somewhere.
Yeah, and they're on a little B plot. I'm sure it'll be more important, you know, in the second half of the season, but
do you remember that quote where like Joyce and Murray and all of them are like eating at the table, and then Jonathan is like, dude, can you like pass me the wine? And then Argyle's like, that's olive oil, man. Or maybe they're switched, but that's one of my favorite parts of the season.
You just bring that up too.
Yeah.
It's so good. And there's others I bring up.
I know.
There must be others. There was a lot of notable quotes in that season.
No, they've done great work, and I hope they don't fuck it up. You know.
Yeah. Well.
That's my Netflix has a they like to make mistakes.
They have a reputation.
They're adding ads to Netflix.
No.
Well, they're not adding ads to all of it, but they're gonna add like a cheaper tier that has ads. Because they lost like 200,000 subscribers last year and stockholders, etc. But you know, it's just
Sponsored by Raycon.
Yeah, where's my
He's just like, no.
guys? Where's my like? You made me lose my train of thought with your callback.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, Netflix is doing their best as a company and probably not gonna make it because Disney. But you guys put a new song out. And that's pretty good.
Nice.
So how'd that come together? How'd y'all start working together?
Well, I think we were already talking because we had started talking more since last summer when I was invited by Sam and Adrian to be in a project series, and that's where we filmed a lot of stuff at the Armory, and you did a lot of mixing and mastering, or just mixing?
Yeah, I co-engineered that session, and then I mixed and mastered the video.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where we first met.
Yeah, that's where we first met at the Armory, and then we didn't start working together until, technically not until January, but
the winter.
It was, I can't remember when it was, but like November, Ben posted this beat and mentioned something about.
It was just like a rainy like Sunday. Day,
I remember it well.
Yeah. I do.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I was in a very lo-fi, hip hop type of vibe, and then I just started making a random beat.
Yeah.
Thought it was cool. Posted on Instagram. Anyone want to write to this?
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, and
then you replied instantly or something.
Was it yeah. No, because I was like, I'm looking for writing opportunities because I really like writing over music. Because usually when I write my own music, I am usually like 50-50, melody comes first, your lyrics come 1st. But when someone already gives me a body of like a beat or another pre-existing frame of music, and it's like, we'll see what you can do with this. I'm like, ooh, let me enter this new world. I'm here for it.
Let me play with this Lego.
Literally, exactly. So when I heard this, I was like, I really like the vibe of this. This could be really cool. So Ben sends it to me, and I remember just like sitting on my bed and just like kind of singing random stuff for an hour. And then, that was when it was
a full hour?
No, well, you kind of like, I kind of,
Yeah.
And, oh man, I don't have my phone next to me right now, but I'm sure I can find the original demo where I'm like, phone line limbo, all of that. And then it was only in the daylight, like all of that was from the original demo. And then I sent that to you, and I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just like noodling, like, didn't really expect much of it, but then Ben messaged back and he's like,
that was a vibe.
Yeah, no, you got the audio from my voice memo and you like imported it into the session, and then you started like auto-tuning my voice and already making it sound really cool, and I was like, okay, so I guess you like it? And you were like, yeah, let's record it. And then in January we recorded vocals, and things have been just kind of from there. So yeah. It was really cool, a very free-flowing experience.
It's nice when it works out that way. I love. Yeah. I've done the same thing with like a voice memo when somebody sends it back, and except I've had to do it the other way around, where I write songs with a guy in Florida, and he sends me a voice memo of him just a cappella singing a song that he came up with like at his kitchen table, and you can hear his wife doing dishes in the background. And
I love that.
And then I went and like time stretched it and like made it fit to tempo, and then composed music to his whole voice memo. And then did it the other way around, and it's significantly more difficult that way, I will say. But it's especially cool, because he's not like in a key, he's just like singing at his
so
table.
You're literally like reharming as you go.
I'm like okay, so I've got it. I'll put it into
into Melodyne and export it as MIDI so I can figure out what the hell's going on.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
That is really cool, though. I bet you can come up with some really cool stuff when it's reversed like that, because you literally have free reign for the landscape of how you want
It's
things
weird.
to sound.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can
It's
mess
like,
around with
you've got
everything.
it's like The Sims, you know. Endless
Nice.
landscape.
So cool.
So yeah, and then you made a pretty neato video as well that just came out.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. With Adam Harasimiak? Adam Harasimiak, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
How'd that come together?
It's actually really funny how that came about, because earlier this year I was thinking about doing this seeds of an idea of a video that I wanted to do for another song of mine that's unreleased. And I was like, oh man, like I have all these ideas, but I need to probably like reach out to a director. Like I've never done a video by myself, so I don't know what the process would be for something like that, what the timeline would look like. So this was early 2022. Oh my gosh, words, numbers, time. And unprompted, like completely out of the blue, Adam, who also directed one of the project videos from last year, he did the Pretty Please Dua Lipa video.
Oh, yeah.
And so we had already been following each other by then, but he messaged me completely randomly, like, hey, how's it going? How's your music? And I'm like, oh, hi, man. It's been good, you know? Like, all right, like completely out of the blue. And he's like, well, yeah, like I'm going to be in Vancouver in the spring. Let me know if you ever wanted to collaborate on stuff. And I was like, golden, okay. And so like golden opportunity. And so, yeah, Ben and I had been working on music for a while then by now. And I have been just like, I guess, disclaimer, we're working on an EP currently. So a little plug for that. That's coming. That's in
Oh my god, an EP?
Oh my god. So yeah, so that's in the process of, you know, coming into play. We're still figuring some stuff out for that. But so that was already coming into play. And the idea for the pause video actually was a last minute thing, because Adam and I had been talking about doing this other video. But then I was like, oh, well, Adam, I'm actually releasing a song in June. What if we just filmed just like a little thing while you're in Vancouver and we can just put this video together? And he was really interested in that. And I had already sent him like a mood board of what colors I wanted and what elements I wanted. And a lot of the main scenes of me lying on the blanket, like were like the blanket is like a blanket that I've had for years. And the TV set was actually a friend of mine from high school. I had sent an Instagram story where I was like, I need a TV that can like play VCRs, that can play
old
static.
CRT deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And she very graciously was like, oh yeah, like we have this TV, and it was like the perfect TV that we could have used. Lent us some old movies. I got like my Studio Ghibli Castle in the Sky
Beautiful.
VCR, and it's like one of my favorite childhood movies. So it was just like we created this space at Palm Street, and so Colin and Andrew were helping us out with that, and it was so simple, but it just came together so wonderfully, and we got Hannah Yang to take pictures for us, and it was just this really cool experience. And it was just this one-day thing where we just filmed everything, and Adam experimented with lights and like all the flashing lights, and there's a scene I think in the second chorus of the video where there's just flashing lights and they're kind of rotating, and
Oh, that was my favorite scene.
yeah, that was a lot of fun. But like even then, because we filmed multiple takes of that. And so, and even Adam kept checking in with me. He's like, I know this is a lot of light. Like, let me know if you're good. And I'm like, I'm fine. But even like after the first couple takes, I'm like, oh, like my eyes, like we are. Yeah, but it was
Your
an
brain's
incredible
not meant for that.
experience. Yeah, no, the product ended up looking incredible.
Worth
Adam
it.
did a fantastic job. So,
Well,
yeah.
that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
what's really interesting and what I've noticed, just sort of following you on Instagram and whatever for the last like however many years,
Yeah.
is you're very good about like being in everybody's shit. You know, like you've got like every single
like I think I found some like brand new artist on the Vancouver scene that I've never heard of before, and it's like their most recent post, Isobel, like this. And you're just like, like you've got like the network that's just like, and anytime I post something, it's like you're in the first 3 people to like it every time.
I think
you
that
know?
just says more about my Instagram addiction more than
I
anything.
well, it's
thank
paid
you.
off
Thank
in
you.
this sense where it's like you've got this like huge collaborative network, and you're so supportive of everybody else that whenever you need anything, people are just like right there because you're very like woven into the fabric of everything that's going on.
That's so kind. Thank you so much.
It's just, but it speaks to kind of the sort of like what we could be striving for as like a music scene is like if there was like because you're the one that will like actually go listen to everybody's track, and then it's like, so if everybody was on that level, everybody would be a few levels up.
That's very kind. Thank you. No, but it's just so exciting to see everyone doing what you're doing, and I mean, it's so easy to. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I know that at least for me personally, like, to grow, to get older, and to kind of get into more of your own style and what you want to do musically, and to grow out of the mindset of comparison, and to see everyone as more of like, people that you can be inspired by, and like, oh, this person is working with people like this or like this producer. I've always wanted to work with them, and seeing that as like, I can learn from this person, as opposed to like, oh, they won't listen to me. Like, what am I, like, how can I get to your level? Or like, what do you have that I don't? It's like, well, nothing's ever going to get done. You're not going to improve with that kind of attitude, and like, it's not going to make anyone else feel better. So just to come from a place of, everyone's doing their own thing and making art, and that in itself is a wonderful thing. And we all just want to, play shows and make art, and, we're all kind of going through similar things, and just, plugging into that a little bit more and seeing what everyone has to say. I don't know.
Well,
Just
yeah,
trying to
well,
come
it's
from a
making
place of
sure
that.
everybody gets a voice, and and that's what makes it cool. Because I mean, it's really easy to fall into a trap, especially here where there's pretty limited resources, in terms of like, there's only so many venues, there's only so many nights a week, there's only so many studio dates available, and so, and everything's fucking expensive. So yeah, so it's easy to fall into a trap of it's me against them, as opposed to we're all kind of in it together.
Exactly.
And, so that's why it's cool, that we have stuff like this and stuff like the, like the project videos, and,
Yes.
all that, and it's fostering this kind of growing community of people that are just as much fans of everybody else as the participants in what's going on.
Totally.
And
Absolutely.
that's what we need to be working toward, I think, anyway. That seems to make the most sense to me. But
No, absolutely. You're on the ball there, for sure.
yeah. And then, so you're working on an EP. Is it all going to be in kind of the same sort of lo-fi type situation, or is it too early to say, or do you have a whole vision for it?
We haven't really talked about talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
don't know.
happening.
I was just like, oh,
Neato.
you should bring this up.
Yeah.
It is happening. It will be more pop. I've been sitting on a lot of music, and a lot of it has been like older songs that I've had before COVID hit, and a lot of them are songs I wrote in COVID, and a lot of them are also ideas that have just very recently, like ideas I've been bringing to you that we've just started demoing, and we're going to be working on more in the summer, but it will be more of a pop electronic vibe. Like Pause was sort of like this, what's the word I'm looking for? Like this entrance, or I don't know, like this breaking into.
It set the foundation.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
It's gonna sound very sonically. It's gonna sound like that.
Yeah.
With like tones and like synths and all that type of stuff. So.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, no, I really like the way a lot of it sounded, and I love the cheesy guitar solo as well. How'd that come together? It's a really...
Sugar fungus.
Sugar fungus.
Sugar fungus.
Braden from Sugar Fungus.
Yeah.
It's actually originally when I first made the beat, I hit up my friend Braden. He was my coworker at the store. He's just a guitarist for a band called Sugar Fungus, and I
Great
just asked
band.
him, can you just send me like some random guitar loop and like can I just sample it? So the whole song is just him playing guitar and they just sample the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And then once we actually got like an arrangement and everything, we were like, we need a bridge, but also what if we put a guitar solo in there?
Of course.
So I told him, yo, can you just randomly just give me a couple tracks of you just soloing over this one section?
Yeah.
And I just put a bunch of effects on it, and then there it is. Like, that's how it happened.
Yeah, no, I remember when I heard that, I had my headphones on, and I was like, that's delicious. All
Yeah.
right.
It's cheesy,
yeah,
but it
that's,
works.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
does
It's like,
work.
well, we need to lean into the cheese a little more,
Yeah.
I think, as a society. We're all a little bit too cool for our own good sometimes.
Because usually I go for like the really shreddy, like vibey guitar solos. Like one of my other artists, James, goes by Solus. He always makes fun of me because every song we do in the bridge is like a really like shreddy guitar solo.
Yeah.
It goes all the way to the end of the song.
Yeah.
And this time we're like, let's do cheese.
Yeah.
So
Give me some cheddar.
I just have to say, that's so interesting when you said that everyone thinks that they're, like, we need more cheese and that there's a lot of people that think they're too cool. I kind of want you to elaborate on that because for so long, like, I feel like since coming out of COVID, I'm, like, coming into my own more as, like, growing individually as an artist and as a person. And I thought for ages of, like, how do I fit into the scene? Kind of like what I was saying before, like, everyone is doing cool stuff. Everyone's cool. So it's like, that self-perception of, like, well, I don't know if I'm, like, that kind of cool. Is my music this kind of cool? Like, should I even care about that? But then you're saying that, oh, like, we need to, like, almost step away from that. So I just wanted to that caught my attention that you said that. So I wanted you to elaborate on what you mean by that in your observations.
So it's again, it's a part of that sort of trap that we fall into of wanting to. It comes from a sort of self-deprecating place, and there's a little bit of insecurity, and so people kind of and then you grow up and you're like, man, I really like Radiohead or whatever, and they're so cool, they're not silly at all, they're very serious about what they do, or or bands like Coldplay or whatever, right?
Totally.
Like all the big sort of giants, they've got this perception, not all of them obviously, but and then you feel like you kind of have to put that on, and part of that seems to be about like putting up a wall and being very selective about what shows up in your music. And I've struggled with that a lot, and kind of coming up with these rules for myself to follow based off of what I see in the music I like, and it's like, so if I want to do this properly, like if I want to make a cool like record that sounds like Bon Iver, it's like I've got to be a solemn, cool dude, and like take pictures where I'm not smiling and stuff like that, and
wear a lot of baseball caps and get a religious studies degree.
It's like there's a lot of there's a lot of sort of baggage that comes with that, and it's cool to see people kind of let that go, and it's starting to happen more and more, and I'm really stoked about that. And even in myself, I'm sort of now in the music I'm writing, I'm revisiting, like, because I'm not a very serious person at all, and I'm a kind of a cocky, sarcastic asshole, so I should like whenever I show people my music, like previously they're like, oh wow, like this is neat, but it's like, but you're like, you're so funny, why are you like, why isn't why isn't like, why are you doing music like this, and it's just like, and I've always just been like, well, fuck you, and then but then I realized it was like because I'm I'm sort of almost trying to cover for my own personality because I wasn't stoked on how I was, and then I'm like, now I'm like, but what if I just am how I am, in my music, and let it echo out that way. And so now I'm kind of, I can kind of smell when somebody's like writing music from an insecure place, and I see a new band at a show or something, and I'm like, oh, okay, like you're not there yet, you're writing for everybody in the room instead of yourself, know. And
bars, man. Bars.
It's
so true.
Yeah, and it's I think it's just
like you say, part of the growing process for everybody as an artist is to kind of, and some people are going to, land there and, in very serious music that talks about serious things and takes them apart in very serious ways.
Totally.
But, there's also, sometimes we're all just like cheesy, we're sitting around, it's like every single wedding. I've been working a lot of events lately. I've been doing a lot of weddings. Every wedding has a journey moment, and
The best moment.
yeah, and it is. It always is. We can talk about how it's like, oh, journey sucks, but it's everybody's favorite part of the night.
You don't sing when
Yeah,
the song
exactly.
comes on.
Yeah, it's
like
like-
if you don't sing, you're the one with the
Yeah,
problem.
you're the asshole there. Yeah, so I think we all can kind of, we can let out our journey moments, and it's.
I love that.
Yeah, and we could do that in real life,
Totally. Absolutely. I relate to so much of that. And I think also you mentioned like the self-deprecation. Like I don't know. And Ben, you just I had a show at with Boutique Music, the company that Travis James has been making shows and stuff, and I just did a gig about a week or so ago at Forecast, and Ben was there, and I was just saying to Ben how like I'm a pretty self-deprecating person. Like I think I'm pretty aware that like I am who I am and whatnot. And I think I was afraid when I was younger about how that would come off in playing shows, because I would think I would have to be like the showman and like be like I have to be the front woman and like I have to sound quote unquote cool, but like in the act of trying to be cool, everyone can see that like you're trying, and like no one wants to see that you're trying, right? So. And even, so there's even like that, but then also when you play small. And I think I'm trying to get out of playing small, because I think at this show, it was my first show in a while. I haven't played a lot of shows in COVID. And I had played all this new material and I was having a great time, but I was kind of rambling a little bit in between songs. And like, I can be kind of like, how's everyone doing? Like, oh, my tuner, like, like whatever. And then, but I was just having a good time. And, Travis, I actually ran into Travis at a Starbucks in White Rock a couple days after, and he was very gracious, and he was like, like, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And he's like, the one thing I will say is just like, own your stuff more. Like in between songs, like own your music and like own your personality. Like people were vibing in the room with what you were giving them, and like people were asking who you were, and like that's amazing. But like you just have to believe in that. Like you don't have to play small. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but it was this really gracious moment of like, wow, like, what would it be like if I just like what you said earlier, like was who I was, and to not play small with that, and to see in real time how other people can start to respond to like me as a person, and also with the music that I'm making. So it's all a process, of course, but that was just a very recent moment.
Yeah, getting into characters yourself is
yes.
There's this. Yeah, I've had a few moments where I've been on stage and I've seen footage of myself just like how I talk to the audience, like between songs, and I'm like, that's not how I talk.
Yes, exactly. So weird.
And it's like, I don't know if it's nerves or if I've just got too many thoughts, or whatever. Like, and then once I get into the music, then I can just kind of settle in, and it's like, it's a totally different. Yeah, it's a different guy doing what I'm doing, and so I've got to, I've kind of got to get more acquainted with who that is, and see what I have in common with that person. And
yeah, no, it's so true though.
Yeah, it's a very weird kind of headspace that you'd never think about when you're 6 years old and learning how to play the guitar.
Yes. You're gonna have to go up on stage and be entertaining.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
also don't think about it too much, because then you won't be entertaining.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like people want to see something that's effortless, and that doesn't mean that you're so good that it doesn't look like you're trying. It means that you're not lying to people. People want to be entertained. They don't want to be lied to.
Totally. Oh my goodness.
There's a line there, but yeah.
See, I just stay behind the mixing board.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
for me.
yeah. The entertainment aspect, and then there's the production aspect, which is agonizing over the details to make it seem authentic.
Well.
Well, Yeah, well, I mean, you're for what it's worth, you're doing a good job. You know.
I'm trying.
Yeah,
He's doing a great job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Doing
I'm a
great
little
job.
I'm a little disappointed that I know what you look like now. You know, it's you could have been an enigma this whole time.
Oh,
You're like, who's this?
imagine.
Who's this?
Who is this 12th son of Jacob?
Who is this?
Who is he?
Yeah, this silent
Who's
genius.
Jacob?
Yeah.
What? What's going on? I love that. You're gonna have to wear like one of those like pull like a Sia and just like wear like wigs that cover
Yeah.
your face so like
Yeah.
no one knows what you look like.
Get,
Well, then
like,
everyone here knows what you look like.
Yeah.
So the point
Like
would be moot, but
a
you know.
Daft Punk persona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just start releasing music under a different alias.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
literally.
Yeah. Start constructing the suit. You know, have your dead mouse moment.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Spider-Man onesie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the dream. The
It's
dream
the
is to just
dream.
be comfortable, you know,
Yes. So true though.
in
So
whatever
true.
way that may be. So here's something I have to ask everybody on the
Yeah.
podcast, which is when you're listening to Spotify and you get to the end of your playlist or album or whatever you're listening to, Spotify will usually just like give up on trying to show you new things, and it'll go, here's just some stuff you like. And so I call it my Spotify has given up song, because it's like it's usually one song that comes on and you're like, oh, okay, like I'm on like radio now, or like
Yeah.
something's
Oh,
going
I
on.
see.
So, and everybody is, I think, cognizant of what that is. So I'm curious, what's your Spotify has given up song?
I don't know.
I will put out a disclaimer. I know I've been putting a lot of like Spotify stats, but I'm actually not a Spotify user, and I apologize for
yeah.
that. No, I've been using Apple Music, but I appreciate that while Spotify is an imperfect platform,
Yeah.
like it is cool to see how certain artists and bands can have that exposure and to like, well, I know exposure is kind of a dirty word in the industry, but like
Still important.
it's still important, and there are bands that I never would have heard of if it weren't for like people recommending them to me and be like, oh yeah, my Spotify algorithm, like I found this on this playlist. Anyway, sorry,
Yeah,
tangent,
yeah.
but like I just needed to make that disclaimer that I will not be able to adequately answer this question.
I love the post songs though.
Yeah.
Like that's where I get a lot of new influences coming from.
Yeah.
Like it's a vibe.
Yeah. No, it's true. But
What is your song though?
I don't have a specific song.
no?
No, not really.
No, you get to the end of the playlist and then Spotify just plays you something different every time.
Yeah, and I
It
just
doesn't-
vibe to it.
Wow. Yeah. No, because Spotify makes all kinds of assumptions about me.
See, I'd love it,
Yeah.
and then I forget to add it to my playlist.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then just lost forever.
Yeah. So you're just
tragic.
constantly on the hunt.
But then I'll hear like really cool production stuff from it.
Yeah.
And I'll just try to recreate that.
Oh, well, see, now that's just that's a go-getter attitude is what that is. Yeah. I hear cool production stuff sometimes, and I'm like, oh, man, that's so cool. Dang. And then just move on,
You experience it, and then you go on
and
with
then
your
I let
day.
it go. Like, I've completely spaced
Yeah.
out on the fact, like, I could probably do that too,
Yeah, totally,
You know,
totally.
I'm not getting any better at doing that by
Totally.
just listening to it all the time,
Yeah.
I'm sure there is merit though in just like experiencing it for what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Because
yeah.
the
Take
people
note.
that I'm not a producer, and I'm not as into production yet as I would like to be. But from the people that I know that are very, like they are producers and they think about music in a completely different way than I do. That like, from what I hear, like when I give someone a song and I'm just like, oh, this song is so sick, and then one of the first things that say is just like, oh, like the bass is too loud, or like the drum, like what production, like
Yeah.
what drums did they use? I was just like, no, and then so I'm curious about like, and I don't know if we've talked about
I
this
don't
as
think
much,
so.
but like I'm curious, like for you, like do you find it distracting to listen to music and to enjoy music without you always being like, oh man, like how did they get this certain sound, or where did the sample come from, like trying to get into like the nitty-gritty of how a song is made? Like do you find that distracting with how you experience music, or are you able to like separate the two?
Ben, why don't you answer that first?
Yeah. This is my
Yeah.
See,
podcast
I
now.
used to, See, I used to be really bad for that.
Yeah.
Like back when I was like still in audio school, and like when I would listen to music, I'd be like over analyzing like songs.
Yeah.
And, like trying to like get whatever it is I'm hearing. But like over time, I'm like, it's just whatever now. Mm-hmm. Like
It's yeah. I was gonna say a similar thing. It's a journey with
Yeah.
anything. So it starts with I have no idea what I'm listening to, but I like it,
Yeah.
and then it
Yeah.
comes in, and then you start to learn a little bit about like how the sausage is made,
Exactly. Yeah.
and then
Love that.
and then you start to pick it apart, and and then you start to develop very broad ideas of what
Yeah.
you think something should or shouldn't be, and
Yes.
you especially when you're younger and you have a little bit more to prove, you have very defined opinions,
Yeah.
that
Oh
aren't
yeah.
and
Very immovable.
exactly,
Yeah.
and then you're like, and then it cuts to the point where it's like you've decided, at least for me, I decide like I don't like this kind of vocal sound or whatever, and if I hear that, I don't like the song, and I'm not gonna listen to that artist anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Right,
and I'm
right.
very like, no soup for you,
Yeah.
the and then as I get, a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more comfortable with myself and who I
Yeah.
am as a producer, it's a lot easier for me to, I still can't, it still bugs me when I can't understand what's going on, and there's certain genres of music where that's like the goal, it seems like. And so, there's times where I'm just like, oh my God, like chill with the reverb, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I can't understand the words to your song, like why bother, you know?
Yeah.
There's
Totally.
there's still stuff like that I, can't get past, and there's, millions of people that seek that out, but
Yeah,
the
totally.
but it's funny. It kind of reminds me when I was in high school and I started, I was pretty good in English class, and then I took like an AP English class, and then all of a
Nice.
sudden it ruined reading for a little while
no.
because it was very like, and because I was analyzing different, types of metaphor and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Oh,
and going
yeah.
like, oh, that's
Ugh.
interesting, and then it got to the point where it felt like work to read, and then I fell off of it for a
Yeah.
long time,
Yeah.
and then or music theory, right? Music theory is a similar trap where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having a great time, and then you start to learn more, and then you learn more about the rules, and then you're like, I can't do this, I can't do this, and you start cutting yourself off, and then you eventually learn so much that you're like, oh, I can do whatever I want, and it doesn't matter.
Exactly. That's the golden spot
there's
right there.
so there's humps that you kind of get over.
Yeah.
And with production, I found it to be like anything, and now my philosophy is a lot more about, does what I'm hearing serve the message of the song?
That's my motto, man.
Does the emotion that's
I
trying to
need
be
that on a
invoked?
shirt. Like
Yeah.
I need that. We need to like put that on the wall.
I'll get you a
Yeah.
mug with that.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
it's an amazing like North Star to follow
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
get stuck and you're just like, okay, well, what, like, back up, hold on,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Why am I here? Where am I trying to go? What am I
Yeah.
trying to say?
Yeah.
And once you have that answer and you can do that in like a sentence, then it's a lot easier to either pick a drum sound or say it doesn't matter, or or move forward and just finish things and make choices.
Yeah, definitely.
And it comes with experience comes an ability to be more intentional.
Yeah, that's the thing for all my
Nice.
productions now. Like in the last couple of years, it's like, does it serve the song? Like, if it doesn't, why are we adding this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just like flex it.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and then and as you get
Yeah.
a little more experienced, you're like, I don't have anything to prove here. I'll just do a good job.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do my thing.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to like the artist, like being indecisive of something in like a mix or like a
The
production
artist like
thing.
me. I don't know what I want things to sound like. No.
I don't think we had this experience yet. So.
Yeah.
But I've had artists in the
I can be a
past.
very
Like,
indecisive person, so
Fair.
I mean,
do I want more reverb? Do I want less reverb? Like, okay, what's our goal of the song?
Yeah.
Like, does it
Yeah.
serve it? Does it prove what we're trying to do?
It's nice because eventually it takes your like million decisions that it feels like you have to make, and all this paralysis from the choices, and it takes it
Yes.
all the way down to yes or no,
exactly.
and you can boil
Yeah.
that down a little bit, and part of it comes again with like learning and kind of assigning an emotional impact to different sounds, and that comes with working with a lot of different kinds of sounds.
Yeah.
Like what does this plucky bass synth say?
Yes.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
And what can I make it feel like, or
We as we have to ask ourselves the strangest question.
Uh-huh.
Anyone that isn't a musician or a producer is just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
And it's just
yeah.
like, no, you don't. You just if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah. If you know, you know.
It's plucky bass.
Yeah, it's
What
what
does it
it's.
sound like to me?
Yeah, who is it? How was its childhood?
Bro, that's literally me.
Yeah. What character traits can
hurt
I
you?
assign to this? Yeah. Yeah. And what?
We were
And,
recording a demo the other day.
Oh my gosh, literally. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a journey.
Darkest lyrics I've heard in a while.
Oh,
Oh,
Getting real with the demos.
nice.
Coming
Well,
soon to an EP near you.
to an EP near you. Well, and then what else you got going on? You got some shows and stuff coming up, or
I'm doing the Uptown Fest in New West on July 16th.
cool?
So I'm pretty stoked about that. I don't know. I am starting to think about shows. I'm thinking about just getting more comfortable with doing shows like with me and just me and a guitar kind of thing. I'm trying to get more comfortable with that, especially with all the new music I've been writing. So even just like maybe not necessarily not necessarily open mic type shows, but shows like maybe with So Far, or even shows that Travis has been doing with boutique music, where I can just like sit in a coffee shop and just like do my thing and
Yeah.
share some music with
Try
people.
stuff out.
I do eventually want to see if I can put a little band together. I
Okay.
think that would be really cool. But I think what I want to focus on more right now is still fleshing out this sound that you and I have been working on, and to
Before you take it to the
Sing.
stage. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's the season that I'm in right now, because there's so much that needs to be recorded, and that is in itself a whole process, and fleshing out the sound and
It's
the
weird
overall.
sounds, man. It's
the
weird
overall-
sounds.
Yeah, and
You know.
sometimes weird sounds are tough to take live.
Well, that
Yeah.
exactly, and so you know, so
you
I
gotta
think
do it in phases.
100%,
Yeah.
exactly. So, yeah, that's the focus for me right now, is just putting it all on paper, or, in the booth, as it were. And yeah, shows will come. Shows
Yeah.
will come. But the focus right now is to just put stuff out and see what happens.
That's great. Yeah, having a really sort of dialed in picture of what you want is
Yes.
so much easier, rather than just reacting to, what's happening to you.
Yeah,
taking a
totally.
little bit of control and initiative and saying, I'm not ready for this, so why don't I do this? And it's nice when you can look ahead and you've got actionable steps.
Totally,
I've got this,
absolutely.
got this sound to flesh out, and then then we'll figure out the details of shows and all that stuff later.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
mature. It seems like you've been through this before.
Exactly. The minutia will come.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Well, beautiful. It's been delightful to talk to you. I think we should wrap this up a bit before we go on a insane tangent about Stranger Things or something.
I was literally just thinking
Yeah.
about Stranger Things again. I was just thinking about it now.
But yeah, let's go enjoy this beautiful sunshine.
Let's do it.
And then, we'll try and fix all the strange
Audio
audio
things
things
that I'm
I'm
sure
sure
the
the first
first
10
10
minutes of this episode are going to have.
I see